guys, alright, so another episode of the Dodge Ram remodeling, as I like to call it, or rebuild, or upgrade. The other air horn came in, which is freaking awesome, because it looks really weird with just one air horn on top, so it definitely needs two of them. I found a splitter online that I'm going to buy so I can connect both horns to the hose that's going to go to the pull chain for the air horns, and then from the pull chain, that line will go down to the tank. It's going to be really simple, but I still got to draw out the schematics for that. So I came across this place, and I'm going to put the link in the description. This is the place, or this is the cable I needed. So this was what I took off the truck, and I bought the tool that you take this off. I can't get it off. So I bought a new plastic. Bought a new the little chrome collar. This I got to try to salvage from it the best I can. And this is definitely going to fit. So I'm going to line it up, make sure it fits, which I think it will. I believe it will. These guys are very, as you can see, this bag looks like it's been around for 20 years. I'm just waiting for somebody to buy it. The cable says 2018. I mean, the bag says, but nevertheless. So I got that. I'm going to unbox this big horn, and we're going to slap it on top of the truck and make sure everything lines up, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like when it's done, because I guarantee you, two horns, you're going to definitely agree with me, it looks way better than one. Many issues I have, a lot of times, is that the custom-made hood stopper is too big or too high, for better lack of words, because originally the old one fell off, obviously, and what I was left with hole in my roof where that used to sit. Sure, what I gotta do, once everything else under the sun, is I got to adjust it the washer falls right over the hole. Okay, that's fine. Alright guys, so obviously you saw me messing around with the, it's like that, like borderline a little chilly in here. Put the hat on, take it off, etc. But you guys saw me yesterday, I was messing around with the arc welder. I looked online, learned a couple different things about it. I didn't know that I was doing wrong. So I found out that it had nothing to do with the machine itself. It's just the way that I was operating it. I thought it was, would do other tasks, but apparently I was wrong. But that's how you learn, from trial and error, and I sure did had a lot of error. But it was actually kind of fun, even though it's very dangerous. You're taking the power from the electricity from your house or your shop or wherever you're using it from, and you're using it to fuse metal together. So I got other things that go on other than playing with that, but I got all this, I screwed it all together with these screws, and then put a little, they're all formed together with these tight little sheet metal screws that kind of act like rivets. So they're all together, and the first step I'm going to be doing is, before I paint it with the blue, is I'm going to do the undercoating of the inside. So the fender, the wheel wells in the fender, and I'm going to call them wheel wells, I'm going to call them fender. I'm going to go back and forth with jumbling. The terminology is going to be screwed up, so just for everybody understanding. But the fender is what's on the outside, and the wheel well is what gets attached to it, which the wheel, So they're attached right now, and I really want to start jumping on that, because that's basically what's holding me up from doing other stuff that's on the truck. So right now I'm going to take the old one out. I'm going to just put it outside, because unless I have a spot in here I can kind of stick it. I guess I do and I don't. I'm going to just toss that in the corner and stuff, because I still need that plastic interlay from it, but I'm not going to be putting that on when I go to undercoat. It's completely pointless. It's going to get in the way. So I'm going to wipe down the whole inside, get all the dust and the oils and the particulates off of it, and I'm going to start hitting it with the undercoating spray that I'm using. I'm not going to be doing anything dramatic undercoating, because I have so many different types of paints for undercoating that basically the undercoating that's going to be going on with that doesn't have to be fucking random screws on everything. The undercoating on that doesn't have to be anything dramatic. It can be very basic undercoating. I'm using from Rust-Oleum. I'm not going to be using anything else other than just this regular undercoating spray that I use from Rust-Oleum to do certain projects like such. The undercoating spray that I'm going to be doing under the truck is going to be from Loctite. It's a heavy-duty rubberized coating. Do a mixture of that one and one of the other undercoating sprays that I have, and that'll be in certain areas. Will have a different coating versus other spots that are in like a high rust or dirt and water-prone areas are going to get a little bit of a heavier undercoating than other parts of the vehicle. Like they'll have one spray of undercoat, and then they'll have like a rubber cover over it. Other parts of the truck are just going to have that basic. Now some people are going to say, well, why don't you do it all the same? I could, I might, but that's just basically the game plan for that right this second. So I'm going to get this, move that out of the way, get those prepped up and cleaned, and now I'm going to hit them with the spray. What I always do is I'll give it a nice light coat first, and then I'll let that dry for 15-20 minutes, and then I'll give it another light coat, and then another light coat. I'll do about maybe 4 coats on it until I get what I'm looking for, and then flip it over and then do the inside of the wheel well, which would face the ground, which would have that black plastic over it, and that'll give it a little extra protection as well, because all this stuff is just basically, it's a black powder coat, it's a black like a base coat, finish that's on it, instead of it being bare metal. It's a primer coat, I guess you'd want to call it. So, and then once that's done, then we'll transition over to prepping the outside of the wheel wells to get painted, and that involves a lot of things, because for starters they use this bubble wrap stuff on it that had glue, so now there's glue all over, so I got to clean all the glue off. It's nice and done. So now I'm going to flip them over to do the inside of the wheel well that I want to coat. Do the same process as before. I'm going to do about 4 layers on it, and then that's going to sit for a while. It'll sit for a couple days as it dries out, and then once that's done, then I'm going to start working on the fender itself, getting it all prepped up. Like I said before, I got to sand it. I got to fix some of the dent spots and stuff that were on it because of the poor shipping usage or shipping materials that they use, which all they did was stick them in a box with a little bit of bubble wrap on them. I mean, come on, guys. These things should have been in their own boxes and like foam. You know, it's kind of stupid. But whatever. I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. So I'm going to do that. That's got to get sanded. It's got to get bondoed. It's got to get sit. That has to get sanded again. And then we could start laying down the primer on it once we make sure all the oils and the greases and everything is away, because that's what's going to be seen on the outside of the vehicle. So you want to really make sure that the prep process of painting the outside parts that are going to be facing the outside world are at their highest quality. Otherwise it's going to look like shit. So it's always like one of those things I constantly always say. Sometimes it's better just to take your time than it is to rush things. Because as soon as you start rushing shit, that's when stuff starts looking like crap, and then you got to go back and re-sand it and re-prime it, and it's just, you know, it's stupid. It's pointless to rush anything. So, like, normally I put the gloves on, but I can get away with it right now where I'm grabbing it. Okay. So just roll it over this way so I can look at it here. Okay. So like I said, here I'm going to paint the inside here, and I'm going to be painting this inside lip as well. I also probably going to just try to touch this right here, where the fender flare is actually going to get screwed into as well, so that also gets coated with the undercoating. Such. Alright, so that looks good. Tripping on this one piece of wood. I'm going to do the same thing as before. Give it a nice little wipe down, and we start our coats. If you can't start spitting because it's roll-on paint, stop using it, always. It's because it's low on paint, it starts spitting out the paint, especially when it's this stuff. It's a rubberized coating. So if it starts spitting, you're going to have little droplets and stuff of it that spray everywhere. And it actually just kind of screws up its actual final finish. It won't adhere right, so it's always good to just, once you know it's done, you start hearing that ball like it's in a tin can. You don't hear it that much in here because it's painting this fresh can. This fresh can that I have here should be able to do both fenders, at least another 1 or 2 times before it empties out. A little too close. Also, do this in a very well ventilated area. Put these 2 ways up if I can get in this fucking blowback. So one of the things you'll notice as you start spraying this stuff on that I kind of like really left out of telling people, it goes on brown. Yeah. Goes on brown and then it will start turning like glossy black. And then when it fully cures, then it turns into a flat black. So it hits 3 different stages before it's completely done. And that's when you want to really start giving it some time to actually do its thing. And like I said, when you start spraying it on, you'll notice it'll go on brownish. It's like poo brown, for a better lack of words. It's almost like this color brown that's on this container. You'll see it like as it's coming out as you're spraying it. That's normal. It's not that you didn't shake it enough. That's normal. So it's going to start off as like a light brown, and by the time you do its 2nd or 3rd pass on it, it's going to start turning black, and it'll turn jet black, and it'll look jet black, and it's shiny. It looks good. It's not going to stay shiny. It's going to go to a flat black. And when it hits flat black, then you know you're good to go. You're good to do whatever step you're going to do next on it. So that's always good to kind of keep in mind when you're doing something like this. In case you start seeing it and it's like brown, you think you did something wrong. No, that's normal. You see it shiny black. Don't expect it to stay shiny. It's not going to stay shiny. It's going to go straight to flat black, as you guys saw. So now I'm going to let that sit. It does say you could do 1 or 2 coats, and then every coat you do, you give it like 2 or 3 minutes. At 1 to 2 minutes, I give it like 3 or 4, sometimes 5. So I'll go and do something different, or I'll go sit down, I'll give it a couple minutes, and then I'll go back and hit it with another coat.